If you know me personally, or if you know a lot about me and is just a fan, you probably realize that I absolutely love my axolotls. I currently have 4 adult ones and a couple baby ones as of right now. I personally love them because they're like adorable. A lot of people say they're like too weird or too ugly that they're adorable. Anyways, if you start a conversation just talking about axolotls, I could give you like care, general knowledge, setup tips, like basically anything. I could talk for hours on end. But anyways, it has been a little bit since I last posted, as you could tell. It's already July, which is shocking to me because it just flew by for me. I mean, like 2 weeks out of that was like vacation for me, and I have like 2 more weeks of vacation, I believe, which is crazy to even think about that half my summer is just vacations. Before I do start talking about axolotls, I'm just going to give you guys kind of an update because I haven't been like posting or doing like YouTube content creation. I actually haven't started on a video. Actually, I kind of have, but not really. So I was kind of waiting for lifestyle applications because might as well apply because, you know, I love the S&P. I've been following it since season 4 and I fell in love with the S&P and all the content creators in it. I got back into content creation in like May, and that's usually when applications open. I was like, might as well. It would be good for like content and stuff to actually join and make a bunch of friends on there as well. Of course, huge dream because there's thousands of people who apply and don't make it in. And of course, I'm just a small content creator, so I was just waiting for applications to open. But at the panel, they did absolutely nothing for like applications, and I've been like waiting on like Discord and like Twitter and like trying to see if they posted anything, and literally I have not seen anything. Like nothing for season 7. There might be like invited guests like they did in the middle of season 5, and I'm just not sure because the S&P starts in like 20 days from now, I think. But anyways, I was just waiting for applications to open, but they never really did. And even they do, I mean, they could still open, but it's like hard because I'm going on a vacation in like the next 2 weeks, and that'll be hard to do a video idea that I have. But I'm probably still going to do that video idea. It might take a while though because it's a longer form of video and it's more cinematic than your regular S&P content. So there might be no content until August, which is sad to say because I really wanted to have the summer grind, but that just never happened for me. Plus there's like a bunch of other things I've been doing. I have Dragon Whispers, of course, and like PMCC and a bunch of other things. I also got invited into a smaller creator S&P, which I think is super cool to be a part of. Okay, I've yapped about updates for too much. I could probably yap for like another 10 minutes about updates. I think I might do like a couple more second channel videos because they're just like easy and simple to edit and I just love doing them. But anyways, enough about updates. Just expect probably no video until August-ish. Let's get into what I was supposed to talk about, which is axolotls. I originally found out about them from Minecraft, like everyone else. I actually was playing the game the day they were released, and I just found them so cute. I thought they were like a mythical creature that wasn't in IRL. Then I decided to like search them up on Google, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I absolutely fell in love with those creatures like the day I saw them. They definitely had to be my favorite creature, a part of the, I think it was Caves and Cliffs update, part 1. I think so. That was such a long time ago. It feels like it was yesterday. Crazy how time flies by. And that's how I found out about them. So I probably wouldn't have them actually if my pet didn't die. So I had a goldfish when I was younger. It lasted for like 2 years, and my parents thought it was only going to last like a week, so they didn't really care. But I showed them how much I genuinely care for animals and like water changes and feeding them and all that shenanigans. So I kind of proved them, and I was like, can I get an axolotl when my goldfish died? If you're asking why it died, it's because ammonia and little self me did not know what the bacteria cycle. So, newbie mistake, but I miss them. Creamsicle is his name, if you were wondering. But anyways, after that, I just begged my parents that I could get an axolotl. So we decided to get 3 of them from, I think it was Axolotl Planet, because they were like the top sellers, and I didn't know about Morph Market yet. I'm sorry, Axolotl Planet, if you're hearing this, your axolotls are so overpriced compared to Morph Market or local breeders. It costs like $200 a piece, and I was like, that is so expensive, because like on Morph Market, you could get the same axolotl for $40. So first I had to change tanks because first I was using gravel because, every newbie uses gravel. So I switched to sand, especially since axolotls can't be on gravel because they'll accidentally swallow it, get impaction, and then die. I switched out the decorations to pipes and pots and cute stuff. It looks really cute. I really like that old tank, which is now a bearded dragon tank. And I also got a chiller because shockingly they like 64-degree water. And where I live, it gets really hot. So we definitely needed a chiller. At first I was going to use fans, but for a 55-gallon aquarium, that does not work out to get it that cold, especially if your room temperature is 70. And then I eventually got them a couple weeks later once my tank was fully cycled and I knew about the bacteria cycle thing, so I didn't make the same mistake twice. They came shipped in overnight. They basically flew on an airplane from Axolotl Planet to my house, which I think it's always sick when I ship animals that they literally take a plane ride. But anyways, I got the axolotls and I put them in their tank. They did good for about a month until I realized that, I feel so bad saying this, but I don't know what guide told me this or what website I was on, but they told me to feed bloodworms. Bloodworms is for 1 to 2 month old axolotls, baby axolotls, tiny 2-inch axolotls, and my axolotls are 3 to 4 inches. So I hand feeded them that for a month. To be completely honest with you, they ended up dying, and I don't want anyone to make this mistake. And then I reached out to Axolotl Planet because I was this is crazy, and they were yeah, you should be feeding them earthworms and axolotl pellets, and I was oh, because I wasn't feeding them that. So then I decided to do it again. I found a pack of axolotls, a 4-pack of axolotls on Morph Market, which is half the price of Axolotl Planet, which I thought was crazy. I managed to get them, and they were adorable. And I did make the same mistake twice. So I got them to about a year old. At first, when you first have an axolotl, I think at 6 to 12 months, you start to know their gender, and especially you don't want males with females with axolotls because the males will tire out the females until death. And now I have 2 tanks. I have a male tank and a female tank. And I have had a couple other axolotls over the years. Right now I have Artemis, which is another male axolotl. He's a little bit smaller, on the smaller size compared to my adult axolotls. And then another thing that I struggled with was fungal. And the major cause for this is just the ammonia builds up over time. You buy bacteria off of Amazon to help stabilize your tank, or it crashes. Like I said earlier, that 55-gallon, right? That crashed. I don't know how it did. I think it's because someone got fungal, and I decided to put in the medicine in their main tank instead of doing it in a separate tank, so it ended up crashing the cycle for whatever reason. And I was oh my goodness. So I waited for 6 months. They were in tubs, water changed every day. I did them in a big cooler, and then I put individual size tubs, and the water around the cooler is chiller water, if that makes sense. So it's the cooler, and then you put tubs inside the cooler, and then the water around the tubs is chiller water. And so that's how I did my 6 months, which was a difficult 6 months. I got 240 gallons, and I was oh yeah, these tanks are gonna cycle fast. Yeah, that wasn't the case. But anyways, 6 months later, my tanks were cycled, and yippee, because it probably would have took another couple months until I bought actual filters that had bacteria in them. So I ended up doing that, which is my current setup. I have 2 axolotls in each. Usually that's the minimum size because everyone says, oh yeah, go bigger, go bigger, go bigger. And a lot of people would criticize me for putting 2 axolotls in a 40-gallon. But honestly, they get along so well. I haven't had any nipping issues besides from simple tail mistakes when feeding time goes around. But I now put them in smaller tubs when I feed them. So that isn't much of an issue anymore. But usually you want 40 gallons of water per axolotl, and then 20 gallons for each additional one. So technically I should have 60 gallon, but honestly, if they're comfy in their own tank, I'm not going to mess with it. Especially with moving decorations and getting tank recycled, I'm tired of that. So maybe I'll upgrade in the future, maybe I won't, but we shall see what the future holds. I did also say earlier I had baby axolotls, so I decided that I wanted to breed them because calculations wise, they could lay up to 1,000 eggs, even though you should probably keep about 200 of them. So you pair them up, right? I paired up Artemis and Sapnap, my melanoid and leucistic axolotl. Sapnap crazily laid 1,000 eggs. I decided to keep all 1,000 because, I was a newbie breeder. Of course, I have 10 now because I didn't realize I shouldn't have kept them all. And I also forgot to switch foods early on, so Now they're on bloodworms, like they should have been like a month ago. I feel so bad, but they are growing so quick now. Like they already have back legs and they're almost sellable size. Probably in August I'll be able to sell them. So I paired 2 axolotls, Artemis and Satnap, but let's say I pair them again, which I probably am going to because I want to do this next batch right. So let's say I keep 200 eggs, right? So depending on what morph they are, they could be anywhere from 70 to 30 bucks. So if we do the average of that, so that's about 50 bucks, right? I think I mathed that correctly. But 50 bucks. So we do 200 times 50, and that's $10,000 for one clutch. $10,000 for axolotls is kind of crazy. Of course, you have to do fences and stuff like that, but overall, that's kind of crazy. So right now, I have them in like a 4-foot tub, which is like 4 foot by 2 foot. I feed them bloodworms every day and do water changes every day. I also have fans on there because I do like very low water, like 2 inches of water max. So the water gets pretty cold. Plus I have air bubblers, which helps oxygenize the water, but also helps with surface movement and making the water a little bit cooler. And then I'm just going to go a little bit off topic. So I have a bearded dragon. His name is Apollo. He's a zero morph, which is a all white or all gray morph, which I think is stunning, to be honest. So if I pair him to het 0, which will give me 50% zeros and 50% hets, basically the same thing as parents. So if I did that, so the average amount, about 600 for the baby zeros and about 200 for the het 0 babies. So if I go ahead and divide that by 2, that gives us 400, so about 400 apiece. 24,000 from a single batch of bearded dragons. Of course, you have to do care and expensive, especially with live bugs, and you need a lot of those, especially when having baby beardies. But that is shocking. Especially, that's a future project of mine, which I'm probably going to do this spring, which I think is crazy amount of money for me personally. So enough of that. That is my other project that I will be doing eventually. My current thoughts on axolotls, I think they're cool. Are they advanced species? For sure. You should definitely not get them like I had, because now I'm an advanced aquarium hobbyist. I wouldn't consider myself too advanced, but I'm pretty advanced. But back to the question of should you get one, it's just up to you. A lot of people say they're easy to care for, but I think if you have some like experience with like a community tank with like angelfish, neon tetras, and stuff like that, you should be pretty good to go if you made your way that far. But if you're like keeping like a beta or like a cheap goldfish tank in like a bowl, you're not ready for axolotl. Axolotls take a lot of work and patience. If I were to recommend axolotl, I'd say go for it, but know what you're getting into for sure. And the expenses, because you have to feed them earthworms. Adult ones I usually feed 2-3 times a week, and that's usually $10 for like 2 boxes of 24 worms. Of course, I could buy in bulk as well. But overall, I would say get an axolotl if you know what you're getting into.